Shalom. It's your brother Malcolm, a branch of GMS here in Chicago, giving all thanks, glory, and honor unto Yahweh Bashem Hawashai, whom I worship, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of all Israel on earth today. Salutations to you Akim out there on the four corners of the earth that are pushing this truth and sincerity, risking your lives and your freedom to do so. And salutations to the confusion of faith Akim that are joining the ranks worldwide. All right, and salutations to you Akwaf that are listening and learning. All right, this is just a quick commentary on the Kingsman, the Golden Circle, and not gonna go into the movie as far as a spoiler alert. So I mean, I'm going to talk about this movie. So if you haven't seen it, it's really not gonna ruin it. So I'm not gonna go into detail about anything. But these are just things that were revealed in the movie and how Esau's not hiding anymore, and he's also conditioning you. And I once watched a video about how Hollywood, the CIA, uses Hollywood as part of its program to condition and the people, you know. And you can re-educate people with lies just by constantly putting false historical facts into movies, and which is pretty much what Esau did, you know, because every time you see anything revealing dealing with so-called Christianity, anything centered around the Middle East, you always saw so-called white people, which was a lie. All right, and then the white people that were in the so-called white people that were in the Middle East were the Edomites, the people of Idumea, the land of Idumea, which was south of Israel. But when you talk to these modern day Christians and pastors and things like that, they'll tell you that the Idumeans or the Edomites were done away with. And the scriptures say otherwise. Scripture says there's no end to any people. And the scriptures also said that the Esau Idumeans would be the ruling class people when the end came. So how are they done away with if they're the ruling class people? But anyway, let's get into this. The movie, they show you biometrics all through the movie. It starts off, there's, you know, he's opening the car door with his hand. That's the RFID chip. So let's just read the scripture on that. And that's pretty much how this is going to go. All right. This is Revelation 13. I'm going to start at verse 12. And all right. This is 13 and 12. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And basically that was the Roman Empire, was that first beast. One of the Roman army was referred to as the Red Dragon. All right, that was one of their titles. They often wore red cloaks. They often had red shields, and you can just go back and watch the television show Spartacus, which comes on and boldly tells you that this was a close depiction of ancient history, you know, how life really was. And so when they would march with all that red on and with the fire, you know, the guys would be, the light bearers would be holding fire, they would, you know, like a red dragon, you know, and they would light up the arrows and shoot the arrows, and it was like a red dragon breathing fire down on you, with, you know, in the form of ballistas and arrows and that sort of thing, man. You know, the Roman army was a fearsome thing. The shields and their swords and their spears were like the iron teeth. You know, the shields were like the scales. They would lock the shields together, and it's like a wall of steel walking towards you that actually could lash out and hurt you. All right. And it wasn't that they were great warriors. They had superior weapons and tactics that allowed them for the time period. All right. So America was basically Rome reborn, and a couple other places spiritually as well. All right, because Rome took on the characteristics of the ancient societies before it. You know, they took on the things of the Grecians, and the Grecians took on the things of the Babylonians, and well, there it is. And so America is all that wrapped up in one, because it does them all. But anyway, it says, verse 14, he deceiveth them that dwell on earth by the means of all the miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on earth, that he should make an image of the beast, which had the wound by the sword and did live. And matter of fact, Rome fell. All right, and it was actually wounded by some Negro Roman generals by the name of Persinius Niger or Persinius Niger and Septimius Severus. But you know, secular history kind of likes to leave them out, not talk about them too much. The history on them is there. They just they don't want to talk about that because that's what began the Dark Ages. Rome fell from within, kind of like what you're seeing now with all these soldiers and cops and NFL players rising up. It was the same thing before, and it's funny, man. There was a commercial a couple years back where the one basketball player who is a Jake, his father's a Negro, his mother's a Edomite, but that makes him a Jake. All right, played the role of Cornelius. All right, so it's funny, man, how the Lord works. All right. But yeah, so the same thing happened then. Just giving you so you'd understand what I'm reading. All right. But the Roman Empire came back. It said he was wounded by the sword, but did live. That was in the Renaissance. It was reborn. And so that whole white superiority, the whitewashing of the icons, you know, taking all these ancient icons and destroying them with chemical solutions and painting pale faces with blonde hair and halos on them to cover up the afros and that sort of thing. Yeah. All right. So that's how they came back into power. All right. And it said it had power to give life unto the image of the beast, and that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that's exactly what's going to happen, man. Because eventually they're going to force that RFID chip onto people. It's not mandatory yet, but it will be. All right. And he causeth all, both great and small, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or their foreheads, and that no man might be able to buy or sell save he had the mark, or the name of the beast and the number of the name. All right. In Revelation 14:9 it tells you if you take that, the Lord is going to kill you. You shall surely die if you take it in either hand. And that's making IUIC and a couple other Israelite sects look really, really bad. Because I just watched a video how the Fed wants to end cash and make everything go digital. How are they going to do that? Digital currency, putting it on a chip, and then they put the chip in you. That's where we're headed. And we're headed that way fast. All right? And they pretty much showed you that in that movie. Here's another thing. It says they had robotic dogs and use them as killer instruments. And you have a company called Boston Dynamics. All right? You can look that up on YouTube or on the internet. And one of the things they created was Big Dog. And a bunch of other little robots that could be used for combat and things that they could crawl and roll close to you or into a tight or dark space and then blow up. And they could do all kinds of things, man. You know, those are instruments of cruelty. All right. And why? Because that's Esau. His blessing was a sword. All right. And a sword is the form of any weapon that can be used to kill you with. The gun is a modern day sword. And then the most powerful of the modern day sword is the missile. Okay. So let's get a scripture. This is, let's go to Psalms 17 and 3. Psalms is a big book. I know the majority of it was written by King David in the beginning. But this is Psalm 17 and 3. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him and cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So that was the wicked is Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He got dominion over the world with the sword. There's a book that I still am yet to get called Steel. I think it's called Steel Disease. Steel and now I'm forgetting the title of it. But basically, it's telling you how with steel, Joanna did a very beautiful sit down in the movie Conan about the riddle of steel, because Esau was the first one to get that riddle, and he used that to get dominion. Because it said, by the sword thou shalt live. And like I said, it wasn't that he was greater than his adversary. He had greater weapons, you know. His weapons were greater. His skill is you can just see that in combat sports. Jake mainly dominates combat sports, man. More so than Esau. All right. Typically, when Esau wins, he's fighting someone who's new to the game, and he's got way more experience. But in most cases, when they're pretty much equal, Jake dominates, man. The majority of your champions in combat sports, and matter of fact, in all sports, in sports especially that Jake are actually involved with, are the lead characters, the lead players, man. And that's just the truth, man. All right. Okay. So another thing that they showed you in this movie was cannibalism. Okay. Yeah, they showed you cannibalism, and let's go get a scripture to substantiate that, man, because that's coming back. I mean, Puerto Rico was out food and water, man, and the Israelites themselves resorted to cannibalism in the past. And matter of fact, here during World War II, Americans and Russians and Germans were on they show you that in the movie Hannibal Rising. That's why Hannibal lost his damn mind. Because that's how because why? Because in the back of his head, he couldn't get the thought of it. He ate his sister, He and the German soldiers both ate his sister, man. But this is Lamentation 4:10. It said, the hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. Sodden means to cook. You put them in a pot. They hacked them up, killed them, gutted them, and put them in a pot, man. All right? The hands of the pitiful woman have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. So it happened to Israelites. Israelites themselves were eating their own children, man. The Israelite woman. And they are again. It's going to get that bad. When the lights go out and there's no food, no water, people are going to eventually result to cannibalism. And there's probably a couple hundred movies made right here in America and around the world. Thousands, if you look at it that way, that depict that happening. Why? Because it's going to happen. Okay? Let me see. Oh, another thing they showed you. They showed you underwater bases. Okay? Yep. And bases in the size of mountains. So let's see. Let's see what the scriptures have to say about that. Because Esau is going to try and fight the Lord. And they're going to try to hide. All right? And the fact that they have all these fallout shelters and bunkers is evidence of it. And that was written in the scriptures before it happened. Okay? So this is Psalms. Let me get Psalms 138, 139 and 8. And then Amos 9 and 2. All right? So Psalms 139 and 8, got that. And this is Amos 9 and 2, and it says, though they dig into hell, thence shall my hand take them. Though they climb up to the heavens, thence will I bring them down. So they're gonna try to escape on rockets. They're gonna try to dig and go into these, like I said, underground. They're gonna try to dig into these mountains. And which goes to show you that the hell is a condition too and not a place. That's another false Christian doctrine, mainly pushed by the Catholic Church, which is the worst. All right? Because all Christian churches are stemmed from the branch of the Catholics. All right? This is Psalms 139 and 8, and it says, and if I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. I will make my bed in hell before thou art there. All right? And then the precept to that is Amos 9 and 2 in my Bible. All right, so hell is a condition, not a place. Okay? But that's what they're talking about. The Bible is referring to those bases. They call them DUMBs, underground military bunkers, all right? It also shows you that Britain and US has a deep connection, because basically, America is the daughter of Britain. All right, America came out of Britain, man, and they're actually starting to turn against each other, and that kind of happened in the movie a little bit. Okay, they were together, but yet they weren't. All right, and then they have these secret societies that cross the waters and all boundaries, man, because these secret societies are above the nations that these so-called political people are sworn into. All right. Oh, another thing it showed you that Esau completely runs and controls the drug trade. All right. Because they had this organization called the Golden Circle. You know, now I won't tell you much more about it. But one thing they did show you is they showed you them FEMA death camps, man. So Esau is planning on exterminating lots of people. And the president was on board with it, man. So it goes to show you that there definitely is a depopulation program. And now you're hearing all these stories about these prison barges, these FEMA barges. You had the guy giving the interview who was a former cop, said that they were killing people in the FEMA camps. All these stories about how they unleashed the levees, because we know they did it in Katrina. So they did it in Houston, made the flooding worse. And the body count was in the thousands, not 60, but in the thousands. And a lot of bodies got washed out to sea when they released those dams. And then reports that there were bullet holes in all the bodies, which happened in Katrina. So why wouldn't it happen again? All right. And eventually all this stuff is going to start coming out. The people who survive and finally get, you know, whoever get to speak on camera about what they saw, or whoever recorded something on their phone and preserved it, you know. Because I imagine a lot of phones got wet and were destroyed. But I imagine somebody was smart enough to record something and then put that phone in plastic or something like that to protect it from, you know, the wet, and so that they can show proof of what they did. I'm sure it's going to eventually emerge. Okay. Then another thing that they showed you in the movie was the impeachment of the president. All right. Okay. And it's funny how they're moving to impeach Donald Trump just because he's not playing ball with them. But it's been pretty much proven solid, proven over and over again, talked about every day, even on the news, that we entered the Iraq war on false pretenses. So millions of people have died since then, millions, majority of them children. People were murdered. Saddam Hussein was murdered. All right. And that area, and then, you know, they're also admitting that he kept that area in control. You know, it didn't get out of hand with all this secular fighting like it did now. So all this death is on the hands of the Bush administration mainly. Okay? Under all these lies and pretenses, but Bush and Cheney are still walking around free men. But you want to, and not that I'm defending Trump. I mean, to hell with Trump. Now, I hope they do impeach him or whatever happens to him. All right? But impeaching him is definitely going to more than likely lead to a civil war. Or if they kill him, it's going to lead to a civil war. All right? So it's really no way out of this, man. This is the end of Esau Edom. All right? So, hey, just stay prayed up. Pray that Yahweh Shem Yahushua keeps you, you know, and Shalom.